going to share the link on Facebook. Won't be a moment. Hello, welcome to YouTube, my YouTube channel. I have a strange hairstyle today. I just fancied a different kind of thing, so I've gone for a little bun bob thing. So I do these live YouTube broadcasts every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. UK time, and I do an offline one on the second Sunday of the month, which is charged. And I do another free like this on the last Sunday of the month. So the second and the last Sundays, and I can sometimes do them on another Sunday as well, the third and first Sunday. But generally speaking, it's the second and the last Sunday. Yeah. I can be spontaneous with these streams sometimes and just pop up randomly. So I do an introduction here, and then I open up Skype, and you can send questions or call in through Skype, and my Skype ID is Rebekah Maroon. So friend me on Skype and you can ask questions after the introduction. So what is talked about in this message called non-duality is freedom. Freedom. And the only place where freedom is here in what is happening. This is total freedom. But it doesn't mean escaping anything. It doesn't mean escaping being human, the difficulties of being human, but it is still total freedom. When this is often heard, there's still a looking, there's still a seeking for freedom. And there's a belief that, or a hope that, in discovering this freedom, there will be an escape from the difficulties of life, the difficulties that come up, the difficult experiences, the difficult emotions. And in a way, it is an escape from that, but in another way, it's not. So it's an escape from that, as in you are no longer there experiencing them. So they're no longer owned. The emotions, the feelings, the experiences are no longer owned by that sense of who you believe you are. So there's an escaping them in that way, but it's not an escaping of them, in that they are fully what they are. So there's fully that emotion, that feeling, that experience. So to go back to the title of this talk, which is the other way around, I think. So the way it feels for a lot of humans is, and the way it felt here, was that I existed. So it felt like I was someone separate, and I was limited to this form. I was in here looking out. I was someone moving through this life, through this world. I had to make choices, and I had to find the best way to reach my happiness, to reach my freedom. So I was having to live an experience. And it really felt like that. It really felt as if I was someone in here living. The thoughts were saying that, and there was a feeling as if that was true. as if I had a private reality and I was limited. I was only here. But what could happen is that can stop being the experience. Because that isn't the reality, that isn't true. So while it felt like that, as if I was someone experiencing life from a position in here, while it felt like that, there was a seeking to make this feel better, a seeking for pleasure, to feel better. If I could just make it in a career, or make it in a love relationship, or make it with having lots of friends, and if I could just make it in some way, I would feel better. I would feel more complete. I would feel more happy, more home. It would end that feeling of feeling like not enough, or that feeling of incompleteness. And that then turned to spirituality. Although that was there from a young age anyway. Wanting to go home, a sense of wanting to go home, a sense of being abandoned, being left here, knowing in some way. I remember knowing in some way that before I was here, I was happy, and I didn't feel like this. So there was some knowing on some level. But then in my 20s, there was a deep trying to go home, trying to find the end of this suffering. This life was too painful, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't win it. It was impossible. I think because of the character this is, well, the character, the conditioning, whatever you want to call it, I couldn't make it in career. I couldn't make it with love relationships. I couldn't make it with friends. Very difficult to make it work. Make it work. So anyway, so then it went on to seeking to try to fix this character, try to improve and fix this character, and then I would make friends, and then I would be able to make it in other areas. And that helped to a degree. It ended the deep depression. This idea of being on a spiritual path, on a self-help path, and it lifted that energy up. The hope was there, hope of making it, of getting to heaven. And then that became the seeking to try to discover truth, to try to find home. And then at some point there was a hearing of non-duality, this message of what you look for is this moment. So this idea of being present, being here, in touch with this moment, fully being present and not in the mind or the pain body. And that felt wonderful to hear that. The simplicity of that message of being here, it just touched something so deeply. And then the more I kind of went into that, Messages of there isn't anyone here. There isn't anyone here to be present. There is just here-ness, or just here. And again, it touched something so deeply. How beautiful. I was trying to find something in time, and the whole time it was here. How beautiful. Available here. But then the whole issue for that person, that seeker, is how do I get here? How do I find here? How can I find here for me? How can I know here? So it was still trying to be looked for as a personal attainment. Something that I could have and own. Put it in my handbag and take it around with me. I have here, I have presence. But it's, oh no, it's so beautiful. But it's beyond that. It's beyond the personal attainment of anything. And that's the suffering, this idea of you, this idea of someone traveling through time, trying to get somewhere. This is the suffering. Nothing else, just this. So what seems to happen in hearing this message, in looking, in investigating it in the mind, even pulling it apart, trying to understand it, what can happen is like something else, something opens up, something opens. It doesn't really open, it's always here, but something else which isn't in that timeline becomes so obvious and available, or it just is shining through the whole time. And that obviously doesn't need someone to find or discover it. It already is. It already is beaming and free. It already is. So this trying to find presence, trying to be free, is only an issue for that person, for that storyline. This already is. So this is the end of that person, the end of that sense of I'm someone experiencing, the owning of that story, the owning of those thoughts and ideas as being who you are. So in that way, it's a changeover. Like a switch from being a limitation, from being someone moving through time, from being a description to that which always is, to life happening. So you're welcome to ask questions on Skype about that. Oh no, on my phone, not on that, because I haven't got my camera set up. Oh no, the wrong one. Skype. Where is Skype? Oh, no. Should I place it there? Oh, that wasn't through Skype. Hi, Anne. So we have no questions this evening. Oh, God. Hi, Kat. That was a bit frightening. I'd like to add you on Skype. Okay. Accept. My phone's buffering in a minute. Okay. Hi, I really resonate with your message and started to feel expanse of what you speak of. Was the switch ever confusing for you or take time to adjust to it? Could you say anything about that, please? Was the switch ever confusing for you or take time to adjust to? It's quite hard for me to talk about it because it wasn't a switch like an event that happened. An event that happened that I can then recall and describe like an actual event. I can only talk about how it used to feel or how the experience used to be, and then compare that with hi nap nap. I like that nap nap. Nap nap. And then compare that. So it's hard to say really much about that. Was it confusing? I'll take time to adjust. Yeah, I mean, in a way, you could say I'm still adjusting. There's still adjustment happening, meaning it's all new and fresh. It's all happening. It's not like it's a static thing in time in the past. It's what's happening. It's fresh and new. So there's always adjustment in that. I don't know. I know you want a clear answer, very clear, concise answer, but this isn't very clear. This isn't clear. It's not a thing. It's not a clear thing. It's a living thing. So all I can say is before it felt like I was someone separate in here, or I won't even call it that. I'll just say I felt like I was something. I was someone in here, a limitation. The world was here, and I was here moving through the world. It felt like that, and then now it's just everything. It's everything. Life is happening. It doesn't belong to someone. So the character is the character, and it isn't owned. It's a program, an operating system of this machine. Yeah. So don't look for a switch in time. Don't look for a switch. This is the switch. What is happening? This is it. Thank you, Kat. Oh, why is it? Okay. Hi, Rebecca. I too loved your introduction and relate so much with how unbearably painful your life was. Yeah, it's painful when, yeah, it's painful when that story is who you are, when it's living through that story. But then at the same time, it's perfect. It's perfect. That was the story that played. And it was never really a problem, that story. It was just being held as if it was truth, as if that story was the experiencer. That was the ultimate, and that wasn't true. Thank you, Nat Nat. Nice to meet you. Okay. Kat was writing, I think, more, but she stopped. So maybe, or maybe it's he. I don't know. Oh, yep, she's written. Thank you. This feels like I'm expanding beyond the body, perceiving from the. Sorry, my camera's in the way. I'll use this. Beyond the body, perceiving from the. And like you say, as if I've always been that, but it seems to be brief moments of it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. Yeah. Always been free. Always been free. It's more the other way around. There are brief moments of you, brief moments of that story. You were always free. We're identified with form. We're used to looking at form. And you can't look at yourself. You can't look at who you are. So you look to form, to try and find it in form, in things, in objects. And then you imagine this is another form, another object. What is looking? That can't be found. If it is found, it can't be it. This isn't a mental discovery, it's something else. Thank you, Kat. So beautiful. Okay, that was a lovely ending, actually. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for the questions and for interacting. Um, um, I am back at some point soon. I'm not sure when, but I'm back soon. So I'll see you then. Bye.